Hi everyone, this is Debbie with Book and Bujo. Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you've been here before. Let's go over what books I'm going to read for the new Our Fantasy Bingo for 2025. April 1st, Our Fantasy Bingo puts out their new bingo board for each year. And this year I'm a little nervous, but also a little excited for the different prompts that are on the board. For the main rules, you can only use one author once, so you can't read multiple books by the same author for the bingo board. You can only have one reread, and you can only swap out one prompt on the board with a previous prompt, as long as it's not already on the board. Although they did add that one to the board this year, so I guess you could do two. So far, I haven't swapped any out that I remember. I definitely didn't last year. I might have the year before. I don't remember now. It's been a while. And then there's 3 different modes. There's not really any extra bonus points or anything doing any of the other modes. So you have the regular mode where you just do all of the prompts on board and that's it. There's hard mode where you do all of the prompts and then you add an extra little prompt to them. Still just one book, but it makes it a little harder. And then the hero mode is when you review all of the books that you have read. So you could do the hero mode combined with hard or normal mode. Let's get started. Prompt number 1, Knights and Paladins. One of the protagonists has to be a knight or a paladin, and then for hard mode, the character has to have a promise or an oath that they need to keep. And for that, I plan on reading Heartsworn by David Estes. This is the second book in the Forsworn Oath series, and the whole series, there's definitely some oaths that are being made and needing to be kept. Prompt number 2, Hidden Gem, a book that has under 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. Not reviews, but just the ratings. New releases and arcs from popular authors do not count. Hard mode, book needs to be published more than 5 years ago. So may or may not count. It depends on when I read it. So if I read it in 2026, January, February, March, right in there, then it'll count because this one was released in 2020. And that is Forever King by Ben Galley, the first book in the Skuluson Chronicles, and it currently has 516 ratings. Prompt number 3, a book published in the 80s. So it was first published 1980 to 1989. The hard mode is written by an author of color, and for this I will be reading Bloodchild by Octavia Butler, and this was first published in 1984. Prompt number 4, High Fashion. Read a book where clothing or fashion or fiber arts are important to the plot. This can be a crafty main character, such as Torn by Rowena Miller, or a setting where fashion is explored, like in Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. And then the hard mode, the main character makes clothes or fibers. I'm not sure if this one works for hard mode. If it does, I would definitely read this one, but I won't know until I actually read it. Unless you know, please let me know down in the comments if it does. If it doesn't, then I will be reading Daughter of the Forest, the first book in the Seven Waters series by Juliette Marlier. And then prompt number 5, last one on the top row, is Down with the System. Read a book in which the main plot revolves around disrupting a system. Hard mode, not a governmental system. For this one, I plan on reading The Library of Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. Prompt number 6, Impossible Places. Read a book set in a location that would break a physicist. The geometry, non-Euclidean. The volume, bigger on the inside. House of Leaves would definitely work for this. The directions, merely a suggestion. And then hard mode, at least 50% of the book needs to take place in this impossible place. And for that, I am planning on reading Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman, and this is the first book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I'm very excited to finally get to that book. Prompt number 7, a book in parts. Read a book that is separated into large sections within the main text. This can include things like acts, parts, plays, years, and so on. But it has to be more than just chapter breaks. And I was looking at this one, so East of Eden by John Steinbeck, if this could work for normal mode, because there are 3 parts to it, but not 4. So that doesn't work for me. Because the hard mode, it has to have at least 4 parts to it. But what I did choose instead is Perdido Street Station, the first book of the New Corpazon series by China Mayville. Prompt number 8, Gods and Pantheons. Read a book featuring divine beings. Hard mode, there are multiple pantheons involved. There's actually quite a few that you could choose for this one. Anything in the Percy Jackson universe, pretty much, especially Magnus Chase, the King Chronicles, those ones are great because they go back and forth between Norse gods and the Greek and Roman, all of that. Where the Percy Jackson ones themselves, the first 5-book set is mainly just the Greek gods, but the second set with Jason and Piper, those ones kind of go back and forth between the Greek and the Romans, so those ones would work as well. But I'm going to dive into the Iron Druid Chronicles and go with the first book, which is Hounded by Kevin Hearn. Spot 9, last in a series. Read the final entry in a series, that's easy. Hard mode. The series is 4 or more books long. Well, it just so happens that I just finished the 13th book in the Wheel of Time series, Towers of Midnight, and I am now up to the last and final book in the Wheel of Time series, A Memory of Light by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, the 14th book in the series. So that is what I'm gonna go with for this one. Spot 10, book club or read-along book. So this one is to read a book that was or is officially a group read on Our Fantasy. So you can go to their Goodreads shelf. They also have a Google Sheet that has a list of all of the books that they use as their group reads. So you can go back in time and read some from last year or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or you can try and kind of catch up and see what they're reading now. The hard mode is you have to read and participate in an Our Fantasy book club or read along during the bingo year. So I did actually make it last year. I did read one of those. It wasn't one of my favorite books, but I read it and it was good. But this year, I don't know yet because this is the first month. But they do have one that looks kind of interesting. It's kind of got that gothic vibe, which I like. And that is The Whispering Muse by Laura Purcell. So I may pick that one up. It won't be in April though, because I already have 32 books on my TBR for April. So that ain't happening. But maybe I'll read it in May, but then I may just see what the group books are for May, June, July as we go along and pick one up in one of those months. Next row, prompt 11, parent protagonist. Read a book where the main character has a child to care for. The child does not have to be biologically related to the character. Hard mode. The child is also a major character in the story. And for this one, there's a couple. I was kind of thinking maybe get into Hyperion, maybe try that one. But I did put down The Book Eaters by Sun Yi Dean. This is one I was planning on reading last year for the bingo and I didn't get to it, so I thought I'd put that one on here again. 12, an epistolatory. The book must prominently feature one of the following: diary or journal entries, letters, messages, newspaper clippings, transcripts, etc. And the hard mode is the book is told entirely in epistolary format. So Illuminae by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman would work beautifully for this. I read that last year though. I'm not sure if Gemini, the next book in the series, works also. I haven't really looked at that yet. Dracula also would be amazing for this. But I'm going to go with Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, and this is the first book in the series. Also, any of Marie Brennan's books from the series, Memoirs of Lady Trent, would work as well. Prompt number 13. Published in 2025. A book published for the first time in 2025, no reprints, and the hard mode is it's also a debut novel. This made it a little bit harder because I'm not really sure. I don't really keep up on what's coming up soon. I just kind of read what's out there and what sounds good. I don't, unless it's by an author I absolutely love, then I don't really pay attention to what's coming out when. But I did look at some of the suggestions and I decided for now I'm going to go with This Monster of Mine by Shalini Abiskara. Prompt number 14, author of color. Read a book by a person of color. And the hard mode is read a horror novel by a person of color. And for that, I decided to go with The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. Prompt number 15. Small press or self-published. Read a book published by a small press, not from the Big Five or from Bloomsbury, or have it be self-published. Now, if a formerly self-pub book has now been picked up by a publisher, it only counts if you read it before it was picked up. Hard mode, the book has under 100 ratings on Goodreads or is written by a marginalized author. I'm going to go with The Bureau of the Extraordinaries by C.L. Bevel. And this currently has 75 ratings on it, so I may have to change it if by the time I get to it that has gone up. But for now, The Bureau of Extraordinaries, row 4. Prompt number 16, Biopunk. Read a book that focuses on biotechnology and or its consequences. Hard mode, there is no electricity-based technology. I heard this worked, and I'm going to go with The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, and this is the first book in the Shadow of Leviathan series. Prompt number 17, Elves and or Dwarves. Read a book that features the classical fantasy archetypes of elves and or dwarves. They do not have to fit the classic tropes, but they must be either named elves and or dwarves or be easily identified as such. And the hard mode is the main character is an elf or a dwarf. Beren and Luthien by J.R.R. Tolkien. So I've read the whole trilogy, The Hobbit, and I've also read The Silmarillion. So can't use any of those. Although you can do a reread. Prompt number 18, LGBTQIA plus protagonist. Read a book where the main character is under the LGBTQIA plus umbrella. Hard mode. The character is marginalized on at least one additional axis, such as being a person of color, disabled, a member of an ethnic, religious, cultural minority group in the story, something like that. And for that one, I am going to go with one of the suggestions, and that is Space Opera, the first book in the series by Catherine M. Valenti. Number 19, this one's always on the board, and that is 5 sci-fi fantasy short stories. Any sci-fi fantasy short story, as long as there are 5 of them. Hard mode is to read an entire anthology or a collection. And for that, I am finally going to be reading When Swords Fall Silent. And this is by a whole bunch of amazing people. I will put them there. So we have Michael J. Sullivan, Marie Brennan, Andrew Rao, David Dalglish, R.J. Barker, Jonathan French, Peter Flannery, Bryce O'Connor, Luke Jamalenko, Emma Wang, Philip C. Quantrell, J.A. Andrews, Jay Boyce, and Terry Mancor. That's an amazing lineup right there. And I cannot wait to get to this one. I've had it for too long not to have read it yet. Prompt number 20, A Stranger in a Strange Land. Read a book that deals with being a foreigner in a new culture. The character or characters, if there's a group, must be either visiting or moving in as a minority. Hard mode. The main character is an immigrant or a refugee. And for this one, I am going to read The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Long. Last row, prompt number 21. Recycle a bingo square. Use a square from a previous year, from 2015 to 2024, as long as it does not repeat one that's already on the 2025 board. Like you can't have 2 book club squares or 2 short story anthology squares. Hard mode. Not very clever of us, but do the hard mode for that square from that year. So I decided to go with one from last year, and that was prologues or epilogues. And the hard mode was the book had to have both a prologue and an epilogue. And for that, I want to read The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. This was also on my list for last year that I never got to. Prompt number 22, a cozy sci-fi fantasy. Cozy is kind of up to your preference for what you find comforting, but the genre typically features relatable characters, love, low stakes, minimal conflict, and a happy ending. Hard mode, the author is new to you. And for this one, I decided to go with Silver in the Wood. And actually, the audiobook I have has Silver in the Wood and Drowned Country, and that's the first and second book in the Green Hollow duology by Emily Tesh. So I will probably just read both of them and count it as one book for this, because they are fairly short. Prompt 23, generic title. Read a book that has one or more of the following words in the title: blood, bone, broken, court, dark, shadow, song, sword, or throne. Plural is allowed. Hard mode. The title contains more than one of the listed words or contains at least one word and a color, a number, or an animal. And the animal could be real or mythical. And for that, I'm going to finally pick up The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. This is the first book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorns series. So it has bone in the title and it also has dragon. So that works for hard mode. And I would say in this case, chair would be a throne. But even just with the word dragonbone, it totally works. And it has a sword on it. Does that count? Prompt number 24. Not a book. So they have a non-reading space this year. Do something new besides reading a book. Watch a TV show, play a game, learn how to summon a demon. Okay, maybe not the last one. Spend time with fantasy, science fiction, or horror in another format. Movies, video games, tabletop RPGs, board games, etc. all count. There is no rule about how many episodes of a show will count or whether you have to finish a video game. New is the key word here. They don't want you to play a new save on a game you've already been playing or to watch an episode of a show you enjoy. Pick something new. You can do a whole new tabletop RPG or a new campaign in a system you have played before, but not a new session in a game you have already been playing. hard mode, write and post a review to our fantasy. So originally I was kind of thinking of starting a new project and crocheting a dragon. I'm not sure if that would work here or not, but I'll probably find some new TV series or a movie that I'm going to watch anyway. So one of those kind of things will work for me. And then lastly, prompt number 25, pirates. Read a book where the characters engage in piracy of some kind. And hard mode, not a seafaring pirate. So no Pirates of the Caribbean style pirates here. And there's quite a few I was looking at. They had some really good suggestions, but one finally jumped out at me because I know a lot of people have talked about this book. And they may not love the whole series, but at least the first couple books they like. And that is Ascenlin Ascends, the first book in the Books of Babel series by Josiah Bancroft. So that is all 25, well, really 24 books that I'm going to read for the Our Fantasy Bingo for 2025, and which goes from April 1st, 2025 to March 31st, 2026. Are you also taking part in the Our Fantasy Bingo? I would love to find out. Let me know down in the comments below. And what is your favorite prompt from this year's bingo board? There's some really good ones out there. One that I really struggled with last year until I kind of looked it up and did a little more research into it was the epistolatory one. But there's actually, because I'd already read Dracula, so I knew that one worked. But I am surprised at how many books out there really count for that one. So I'm actually kind of liking that prompt because I love the Memoirs of Lady Trent by Marie Brennan. And so I could read the third book in the series for that one. But I'm also excited to read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. So I think right now that one's actually my favorite prompt because it's one that I didn't think I liked originally. So kind of fun. And if you made it this far in the video, leave some sort of sword emoji to let me know that you were here and in honor of the 23rd prompt in our Fantasy Bingo. And until next time, keep reading. Bye!